where is India's electronic industry today? The electronic industry today, if you look at it, we are, like I said several times, we import a lot of material from China. Let's look at side by side the mobile industry. You see on the top, there is, we have this information on how much we import, right? Electrical machinery to the tune of $56.7 billion, which is 9.9% of our total imports in the electrical machinery. Computers, etc., which include semiconductors, mobile phone chips, whatever you want to name it, put everything in that bracket. Together, close to 19% of our imports, that is almost 1 in 5 of those imports, are serious imports that we should have done on our own for a long time now, from a long time now. We did not do it. But again, in technology perspective, let's compare China and India briefly. China has a large number of mobile manufacturers. I can read these names out for you: Xiaomi, Honor, Vivo, IQ, OnePlus, and so on. You just flip your phone and see, it is very, very likely that you will find one of them as your phone. On the right side, we have Indian phones: Lava, Micromax, Zolo, Carbon, and they were all, Carbon was one of the biggest IPL sponsors at one time, but still, it is very unlikely that you would carry this one of these mobile phones on the right. Now, even if we did own a Lava or Micromax or Zolo or Carbon, you should know that there is a very large import component. Basically, Lava or Micromax, what they are doing is, whatever is locally available, they'll use it. But the rest of the material to assemble that phone is coming from China or Taiwan or some other country. Now, there are people who will argue with me that Chinese phones, Xiaomi, MI phones, all the phones that you can think of, are made in India, right? And one should feel happy about it. I beg to disagree with that. Xiaomi makes phones in India, and I know OnePlus or some of these phones are made in India. That's all about it. That doesn't mean that they make all the components available, all the components that go into that mobile phone are manufactured locally. That does not happen. They still import a lot of material from China, assemble them in India. There's a big assembly line. There's a big program for that. They will make it look like it's a make in India, but it's not. As you all know, as you can all can figure out, it is not exactly a made in India product. It's probably a make in India product at the most. Right? They make it in India, or they should have called it assembled in India product. That would be more appropriate to say. So when we compare these two things, we know for sure that we are lagging behind quite a bit. Now, where is India's electronics industry today? We were talking about electronics industry before, right? We only talked about mobiles. Now, what are the big companies in India that are well entrenched when it comes to electronics? ECIL is very popular, especially those who live in and around Hyderabad. Electronics Corporation of India is a very big organization. They are electronic component makers. Bell, Bharat Electronics Limited, and the rest of the names that you see. Honeywell is not an Indian company, but they have a well-established setup in India. ABB India, again, is a very large organization in Europe that makes a lot of components in India. Crompton Greaves, everyone knows about Crompton Greaves, but these are all not big names when it comes to producing electronic goods that are needed by the electronics industry within India. At the most, I can think of these companies as assembly companies. ECIL is good at making use of electronic components, but they are not necessarily very good at producing electronic goods. ECIL at one time produced one of the best TVs in India. But again, there is a component that is important. Not 100% of that TV was made in India. There is severe interdependency. Now, most countries have these interdependencies. Those are the countries that don't get impacted if something goes wrong. But India is in a position right now where we can get severely impacted by our foes, our enemies, who can easily disrupt our economy in a snap. These are the companies. And where do we stand when it comes to semiconductor industry? There's a big difference between electronics industry and semiconductor industry. I lived in New Mexico, Albuquerque, and in Albuquerque there's a very large Intel plant that produces your Pentium chips and i3, all those things that you hear about in your computers, right? Those are the ones that are produced by Intel, and they have huge fabrication units. They call Fab 3, Fab 4, Fab 5, and so on. They have these big industries, not only in Albuquerque, but also in California. There are these big industries. Now, China also has the semiconductor companies. They may not be producing what Motorola produces, or what Intel produces, or what AMD produces, but they also produce top-notch semiconductor products. When it comes to semiconductors, we are talking mostly in terms of microprocessors, those Intel chips and things like that, which requires a heavy investment. Now, our industry is actually non-existent as of now. Only in 2021, Tata showed a lot of interest in opening up a semiconductor company. Tata LZ, whatever you want, however you want to pronounce it, it's a difficult name, electronics something something. And Vedanta also showed a lot of interest in doing something in the field of semiconductor industry. But today, as of now, we largely depend on China, Taiwan, USA, Japan, and some other European countries. We don't have a very strong base. Now, at this stage, from this point onwards, where do we go? How do we get started? How do we make sure that we have a reliable, self-reliant electronics industry in India? Where is it heading? Only recently, if you can see this big headline that comes up every now and then, whenever there's a sneeze in the electronics industry, they talk about this big thing. India will spend $30 billion to restructure IT industry. $30 billion will be invested by the government of India partly, and partly by the private industry. And where is our focus when we do this? Chip production, LCDs, OLED displays, networking equipment, and telecom equipment. Imagine these key areas have not been our focus areas for many years now. Chip production was never on the table for us. LCDs were imported to a large extent, not manufactured locally. So if you see your LCD TV, go touch it and you will find it was touched by someone in China. Same thing with OLED displays. Same thing with the networking equipment. You touch any of your routers at home, probably they're all coming from China. Networking equipment, telecom equipment. You see your cell phone cell towers, mobile towers, whatever they are, the big things that are coming up. Most of the key components of that are imported. So these focus areas have become focus areas only now. They have not been our focus areas for many years. But we have been, we are celebrating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, 75 years of independence, and yet we have not focused on this. The government has woken up to this only now, but better late than never. Okay, now we will still see how China became a leader in electronics industry or semiconductor industry. We are talking about 2022, 2021, where India is starting to develop its own electronics industry. China started in 50s. They have something called walking on two legs policy. This has a very interesting connotation, interesting meaning. Walking on two legs is, we apply it to human beings. We always walk on two legs, right? But when it comes to electronics industry, what does it mean? When it comes to other industries, China used the walking on two legs policy everywhere. Okay, walking on two legs means, when it comes to electronics industry, what it means is, one, we will produce on our own everything that we need. We will be self-reliant. Walking on second leg, what it means is, even if government will invest on one side and we'll let the private players invest on the other side, that's the second leg. Even if the quality of the products is very cheap, quality of the products is very low and inexpensive, we can easily dump on other countries. It's okay. Even if quality is not good, it's okay. That's why we see a lot of Chinese products, when they end up in India or in other countries, they are very unreliable. Slowly they have learned the art of perfection. They have learned how to make their quality of their products better over a period of time. India is still catching up a lot on this. Now, when India develops, our policy generally is, as we grow, we allow other countries to grow with us. That's why when we had COVID vaccine available for India, he said we will use it on our own people, but we'll also export it to other countries so that other countries can also get benefited by it. The China's policy was quite different. They have grown with the single mind that we will grow and we will not let others grow. Others should buy from us or they should starve, is their general philosophy, is what I understand. That is why Nortel networks was completely destroyed. They don't care if Nortel network goes to dogs. We will see what happened in Japan. Japan is supposed to be such a big name when it comes to electronics. We used to take pride in owning a Sony TV. What happened to Sony phones? Does anyone own a Sony phone today? Does anyone see this product from Sanyo or Panasonic, which were very big at one time? Why is Japan failing? Very simple answer lies in the fact that China is growing. When China grows, all the others will fail, is what my clear understanding is. What happened to Japan? Japan, look at Japan. They are struggling today in spite of being the leaders in the electronics industry for a long time. China got immensely benefited by by Japan's talent. China got immensely benefited by Canada and European Union countries. But did that translate into European countries and Japan and Australia growing with China when China was growing? That did not happen. Japan started failing. Canada started failing. European Union started failing. So we have to look at how the world is shifting in only one direction, and that is feeding China. And we continuously import from China, we continuously depend on China. That means it's going to be a very bad news one day or the other, sooner or later.